Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Apex Greatness. I am your host, Russell Broderick. This way is Dario Albuquerque. Nailed it on the money. On the money today.
Yeah,
I know our entire audience is impressed. We did it on the money. Probably didn't have to say anything either, but
yeah.
It doesn't matter. Today, we're going to start with the AFC slice of the divisional round of the playoffs that are happening this weekend. One game is on Saturday, one game is on Sunday. Why they did it like that, I don't get it. Why didn't you just do one AFC's on Saturday, NFC's on Sunday?
Because
very easy.
Because it makes it more interesting for the teams to know who they're playing later on or something. It's like an anticipation, probably.
Fuck that. I think it's annoying. I'd rather have it where they both divisions get done and then we know what we're getting ourselves into. I don't know. I just think there's more uniform to it. Maybe it's just my ADD and OCD getting in the way. But we're looking at highlights of some of the plays from Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah, from the young GOAT.
It was a good one. It was a good Wild Card Weekend. Like
that plus 8.5 that I told you. Same. I was wrong about my bracket, but
you did the fucking Jordan's.
Yeah.
That shit. This was my favorite play from the weekend. The Lamar run. Shit was wild. Lamar, I almost got the Colts bet. The Colts versus what do you call it? I'm bugging. Who'd they play now? The Bills, who we're going to talk about in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure that the Bills were going to come out and not play solid defensively. Like they seem like a team that can be game planned for, and we're gonna talk about that in a minute.
I can't believe I was worried about them.
Worried about who? The Bills. Now you can't believe you're worried about them?
Yeah, after last week.
Oh, because you're as a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, I was
nervous
about the Ravens and the Bills. And now I only have to be worried about one of them.
And they're playing each other.
Yeah.
So this is best case scenario for you.
2 birds with 1 stone.
So let's just get into it. We got up first the Buffalo Bills, who, as we just discussed, squeaked out a game at home against the Indianapolis Colts and Phillip Rivers, who might retire. You think he's going to retire?
I think he talked about retiring.
As I rep my Manning jersey.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he should give it one more year. But
yeah, he didn't. I don't think he played that bad to where. I know Drew Brees is definitely retiring.
Yeah, and he's playing better. I think Drew Brees is playing better than Phillip Rivers.
You do? I think Phillip Rivers is playing better than Drew Brees.
I don't know. We'll have to look at it. Josh Allen going up against a Baltimore Ravens defense who shut down Derrick Henry last week. Shut him down. Who called that? Who called that? We called that.
Yeah.
On this fucking show.
Yeah, on you guys' favorite show, we explained this shit.
Yes.
That's what they got those guys for, though. Calais Campbell and the motherfuckers.
And I figured that they were going to make Tannehill beat him, like we discussed. And Tannehill could not get the job done. Lamar Jackson ran wild on the Titans defense. And I don't know. I like the Ravens. The Ravens are the underdogs in this game because they're on the they're 2.5 point underdogs.
Yeah.
And
which in reality makes a slight favorite. But based on how bad
run through that math again.
Usually home team gets 3 points.
Okay.
That means they probably started the spread out at Buffalo -3 and then got bet down because betting for the Ravens.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised that Buffalo was the favorite, to be honest. But
Well, it's because they were the home team.
yeah,
I like Baltimore. I think they're getting hot at the right time of the year, and I think the Bills have a giant hole, and we saw Jonathan Taylor exploit it last game, which was their run defense is suspect. And if you can't stop the run against Baltimore, it's only a matter of time. The over-under for this is like 50, I think. I think it's definitely going to hit the over. I think it'll be a shootout type game just because these two teams are explosive. They're the polar opposites of explosiveness. One is very explosive through the run game and has 15-yard, 20-yard plays often through the run in the Ravens. And one is explosive through the passing game with Josh Allen launching bombs and making major pass plays to Diggs, Beasley, John Brown, Gabriel Davis last week.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really interested to see this game. This is my favorite. This is the game I'm most looking forward to this weekend.
Am I weird for thinking that this is going to under?
Well, talk me through it.
My thing is, the Buffalo doesn't really have a run game.
Uh-huh.
I think that makes it easier for Ravens defense, who is a little bit more complete as a defense than Buffalo's defense is.
Right.
It forces Josh Allen to be the focal point of scoring.
Yeah.
And I think once the Ravens go up in this game, it's gonna more and more pressure is gonna be on Josh Allen, because if he goes 3-and-out once, it's pretty much almost game over for him, because they're gonna score points. And I think it's hard to stop that Ravens run game.
Right.
Just naturally, even when even when your defense is good at stopping the run, it's hard to stop that offense. So when your defense is bad at stopping the run, I think they're just gonna run all over, and they're gonna take away the clock from Josh Allen, and it's gonna force him to have to be perfect, and he's gonna have to have more explosive plays, which I think leads to more issues. I personally have, and I'm sure you do too, but I have the Ravens winning this game, and I bet it.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you want to show the bet, but
I do in a minute. But hold that thought, because I really wanted to talk about that for a second.
Okay.
The one thing that makes me concerned about everything you just said is that I think the Colts did that this weekend. I think the Colts did literally everything that you said. I think they had, I'm pretty sure that they had the ball for longer. They had the ball almost 10 minutes more, right?
Yeah.
They didn't turn the ball. They didn't turn the ball over as much. I think did they both have 2 interceptions? No. Philip Rivers, no interceptions. 1 fumble lost by Michael Pittman. And 1 fumble lost by Josh Allen. That's it. So they were even on turnover ratio. Didn't turn the ball over too much, right? Controlled the clock. Ran the ball more often than Buffalo did, right? 30 times running the ball. Jonathan Taylor had a great game statistically.
Yep.
And they still lost. They still lost because Josh Allen did everything you said. He was almost perfect. Every time he threw, it was efficient. He got down the field on these guys. They were done with their possessions very quickly. Their scoring possessions came like nothing.
Yeah.
You could do like that's what scares the shit out of me. And the Indies defense, they started the game really hot. Like, they were up by a touchdown to start the third quarter.
In reality, what happened was Indy fucked this whole game up for themselves, because they had multiple drives where they could have scored field goals, but they were being too aggressive.
Yeah, true.
And it's swift. It changed the momentum of the game, because in reality, they could have got a field goal to put themselves up. I think 7, something like that. And instead, they don't get the first down or the touchdown or whatever.
Yeah.
Then Buffalo goes and walks right down the field and scores a touchdown, which is a 10-point swing. And it could have very well not been like that. You could not pay. You could have. I think things like that, like momentum changes, like
Lots
that.
of gambling, lots of going for it on fourth down. I sent you a message in the middle of the second quarter, like, dude, they're playing Madden rules. Both teams are going for it on fourth down.
Yeah,
Nobody's
exactly.
kicking anything.
Yeah,
It was
and
crazy.
I think that that's part of the reason that that didn't work. That it didn't, like Indy should have, like everything that we talked about. Indy did, and they really should have won this game. But I think those little things fucked it up because they had multiple possessions where they could have scored, and they didn't because they were being too aggressive and wanted touchdowns versus field goals when they fucking lost by a field goal. Like
Yeah, I definitely think that if Buffalo doesn't correct some of the mistakes that they made in this game, the Ravens can exploit the same things that the Colts did.
Mhm.
I definitely think that. And like I said to open, if you can't stop Baltimore from running the ball, then your path to victory is much more difficult. And I think as long as the Ravens defense plays up to par, and they did in this last game versus Tennessee, I cannot see a world. Lamar would have to have like 4 turnovers for them to fuck this up, in my opinion. And Buffalo would have to get up early. I think if you're Buffalo, look at
Yeah.
what the Titans were doing to start this game as we look at the highlights here. The Titans were airing it the fuck out to start the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Tannehill was throwing it all over the place because they wanted to get a quick early lead on the Ravens to prevent them from running the football.
Yeah. And they went up 10, and the Ravens. Oh, wow, that was awesome.
AJ Brown is that guy, but this is all happening in the first quarter of play. Continue.
Yeah, and that's the way usually you can't. But the whole thing, the thing about Baltimore's offense is they're still electrifying with the run. Like so, it's like Lamar Jackson scored a 50-yard touchdown, and just like that, like they're back in the game.
Yeah,
and
that changed the whole game. We're gonna get to that highlight. I think that's coming up soon. That was in the first half. I'm pretty sure.
And
first half. Yeah.
I think that's what makes them a little different, like as a run team.
Sure.
Just that electrifying, how quick they could score off the run.
Their triple option is lethal, and the way they use their blocking up front is second to nobody when it comes to when they run the football.
Yeah. So I definitely think that's going to be an issue with Buffalo. It's what do you trust more? Do you trust I was about to call him Mitchell Trubisky. That's not
no, that's so disrespectful.
Do you trust Josh Allen?
Oh my god,
Josh Allen.
That's only because they're both white.
Oh my god, running quarterbacks and yeah. I'm not. I swear, I respect Josh Allen a little more than that. But
you know what Josh Allen reminds me of? Speaking of that kind of thing. Josh Allen reminds me of this man when he was the MVP.
Oh, okay.
Like Cam Newton,
the same side. They're pretty.
Cam Newton, when he was MVP and going through this year, was exactly the same style of play. Head first. Look at size.
Yeah.
Throwing bombs and being unstoppable on the goal line. And they use Josh Allen in a very similar way.
Yeah.
And that I don't know why I brought this. It made me think of that.
I'm just trusting Baltimore's run game more than I trust Josh Allen. That might be a mistake, but
give me a final score.
I'm gonna go, and this might be stupid. I'm going Baltimore 24.
Okay.
And Bills 17.
Okay. You think they're gonna hold them to under 20? I think it's very similar to the score we saw in the Bills last game. I think Baltimore 30 and then Bills 24. I think they're gonna put some points on the board. I just think that's the nature once it gets to the playoffs and all those money plays get involved and they start going to their best plays period, points are going to get on the board. These teams all season have been dictated by their explosiveness on offense. So if all of a sudden it becomes a defensive game, A, I'll be sad, and B, I'll be just surprised based on we've talked about this before, but there's no changing how you played all season. But let's get into this bet. I'll pull this up for you real quick. Go for it.
I went for Baltimore straight up, and that's probably my most confident pick, to be honest. And
right.
I probably should. Well, yeah, the most confident pick,
yeah.
And then the games that we're going to next, the Chiefs and Browns. This is my least confident pick now. That I didn't think about this as I was making the bet, but the reason I put Browns plus 9.5, it's not because I think the Browns are going to win, because I think they're going to lose by 7.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs just haven't covered a spread for like the last 10 weeks or something like that.
This is interesting to me. Talk to me about this.
The last spread that they covered was against the Jets, and before that it was against Baltimore. So they've been playing tighter games, which I attribute for the most part to the Chiefs' lack of care. The only time they really care is when they play playoff teams. When you look at the stats versus playoff teams and non-playoff teams, it's just a completely different team. But the thing that makes me nervous about this bet now is the Chiefs, when winning a game with Patrick Mahomes as quarterback, has not won a game by less than 11. So
in the playoffs.
In the playoffs,
yeah.
In the playoffs. And in the last 2 divisional games that Patrick Mahomes has played, they've won by an average of 19 points. So against the Colts and against Houston, we saw the murder that happened at Houston.
We gotta hold this thought. So I saw you sent me this the other night, and I thought this was incredibly interesting because this has picked up more steam. Pat Mahomes has a whole notebook of plays for this defense that I think he's definitely ready to use and unleash.
Yeah.
This total is like 57, I think, on DraftKings is the over-under. I think that's a definite under. In terms of I don't think this is a super high-scoring game. I think this is like one of those 24-17, no more than that type situations where the Chiefs, they do it like that.
The Chiefs are scoring over 30 points.
Why? What if they don't need to? What if they get up big to start and then they're good? That could totally happen.
The Chiefs haven't scored under I think 31 points since Patrick Mahomes has been quarterback for the during the playoffs. They just score. They don't. That's why
they score in the Super Bowl. Am I bugging?
They scored probably.
They did not score 30 in the Super Bowl. Maybe I'm bugging, but
no, they did. I think they scored. They might have scored 35. Yeah.
I gotta look it up because my memory is deceiving me. Because I remember them to 31 exactly. Okay, that's the lowest number. That's interesting. Okay, but continue.
Yeah. So, and I don't think this defense just gave up 35 points to Pittsburgh. And maybe it was you could say it was because they were blown out, whatever, but Pittsburgh got it to 11 points in the fourth quarter. So I think the Chiefs are going to definitely score over 30 against the team. I think it's actually going to go the over.
Okay.
It might be 35-27, something like that. But
do you really think your defense is that bad? I don't think your defense is that bad. That's my thing. And I think the Browns' strategy is going to be to control the clock and slow the game down with Chubb and Hunt as much as possible. And Kareem Hunt revenge game. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think they're going to be able to score a good amount of points off their run game.
Yeah.
If you got Baker throwing more than 35 passes, you're in for a long night. But you might have to, because what if the Chiefs get the ball, they're scoring. I don't care. I really do think that they wanna, because everyone during this whole year, and this is the type of stuff I pay attention to more than I guess you do, but this whole year people have been saying that they look like that, like they've been slacking as a team or whatever, and they everyone expected them to have
People say that? Who says that?
who says that they've like
Yeah, that they're slacking.
um
They're 14-2. They were the
yeah,
number 1 seed in the AFC.
exactly.
Pat Mahomes was the MVP nominee up until like
Exactly.
the last month of the
What I
season.
think all
What
the
are
time.
people watching?
Because when they play teams, they don't blow them out. Like the Saints, they
That's
only
stupid.
win by 3.
That's stupid.
That
gives them more likelihood to win championship playoff games.
exactly. I agree. And most of the time, when they're going against playoff teams, they're up by double digits, and then that team comes back to bring it within one score towards the end of the game. They did it. Tampa Bay did it. They were up by double digits throughout most of that game, and then Brady within 4 minutes scores a touchdown and brings it to 3, and then he never gets the ball back. Against the Saints, same shit happened. We were up by 10.
Yeah.
And same. So.
Do you think which defense is better? Do you think last year's defense is better or this year?
Last year's during the playoffs, or last year in totality?
I'm just saying last year in totality versus this year. There is no comparison to make between this year and last year's playoffs because this year's playoffs hasn't happened.
Yeah, but I'm saying like if you comparing last year's playoffs defense to this year's regular season defense, I'm going last year's playoff defense, but
it's so much less of a sample
yeah,
size.
I know. But I think in totality this defense is better.
That's what I think, and that's why I think that I just think when I saw the total was 57, I was blown away. I was like, that is a high total.
The whole thing is if we go up a lot,
yeah, they're gonna have to. That I understand.
Yeah,
that I understand. It could be exactly like what the Browns just went through against the Steelers, where Ben ended up throwing for like 450 yards, but they were up 28-0 to start the game. You think it's gonna be a game like that? That's what you think?
Yeah, and I mean, and the Chiefs are just teams have backdoor covered this whole fucking year on them. So that's my main thing. But once I saw that stat, especially, I don't even know why I didn't look. Usually I do a lot more research on it, but I was just like, oh, the Chiefs haven't covered this whole. Like I know that because I've seen it. I've seen the spreads, and I never bet on them to win. I usually bet on over-unders for them, but I've seen that they haven't been covering. So I'm like, oh, okay, like I'll just bet on Browns by 10. Like I can see the Browns staying in the game or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I seeing that they've beaten their last 2 divisional opponents by 19 combined is just, or on average, is crazy.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think if you were a defense trying to stop Mahomes? What would you do? Like what? Like if you're devising a game plan?
Yeah. I'd play. I wouldn't play man. Don't play man on anybody. And just play like I think it's called quarter coverage or whatever, where you pretty much are playing zone, right? Like it's like a zone.
You have 4 guys. You have 4 guys patrolling the overtop.
Exactly,
of the field.
And it makes it harder for Mahomes because he has to buy a little bit more time and he can't just go to his initial play.
Yeah.
Like he has to run out of the pocket a little more, and it'll give the Browns front 4 or front 7 more time to get to Mahomes.
Yeah.
And
what's the
don't blitz him and don't play man. Like
what's the easiest way to get through your defense?
Get through my defense?
Yeah.
Or run.
So this is what I think. I think they're going to take Chubb and Hunt. I think they're both going to get 15 to 20 carries in this game. I think they're going to try to control the time of possession. I think the only way they're going to be able to beat the Chiefs is to keep Patrick Mahomes and the offense off the field entirely. That's the best way to beat this Chiefs team. Because I think if the time of possession is within 5 minutes, I think the Chiefs will blow them out. But
Oh yeah.
But I think the Browns have to play for 21 to 24 points being their win. Because if they play any faster than that, nobody's going to beat Pat Mahomes in a high-paced situation. It's never happened. And the last time I saw it really happen was against the Rams in that thriller on Monday Night Football, where it was back and forth, and he took a straight-up L. Also against that weird Raiders game, too.
And one thing about that whole year, like that, I think from that he learned so much in that year because that happened to him twice. Because it happened in the Rams game. No, 3 times. It happened to him in the Rams game. It happened to him in the Patriots game. The first time they faced each other in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
And then it happened to him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where like he learned that. And I just trust him. I trust Mahomes.
No, yeah, I'm not even saying I don't think I'm saying I really think that the only way they're going to be able to beat the Chiefs is if Kareem Hunt has 15 carries and does the same kind of production, 6 yards a carry, and Nick Chubb gets 15 to 20 carries. And that's how they beat them. And they just control the clock and they stay in bounds and they keep that clock rolling. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then if Mahomes comes on the field for the first time in the game with like 2 minutes to go in the first quarter, I think you've done your job.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's what you're trying to do. That's what the Colts were doing successfully against Josh Allen last week. And I think Stefanski is a guy who loves to run the football. And the Chiefs' defense is one that can be exploited through the run. But teams do stiffen up in the postseason. Look, this is Derrick Henry last year. Only 69 yards against this defense. Teams do stiffen up come postseason. The Colts, the first time Peyton Manning won a championship, their run defense was literally the worst in the league in the regular season. Bob Sanders came back for them in the playoffs, and they became the postseason's best run defense. So you never know in situations like that, but I do think that will be the game plan. And I like Chiefs. The over-under, or the spread is 10, right? And last time I checked, it was 10.
I think so, yeah.
I'm taking the Chiefs. I think they could win it by 2 touchdowns. Because I think the defense is good enough to I think the Chiefs are going to try to get up quick and make it a high-paced situation, forcing Baker to throw more, which is going to cause Baker to turn the ball over. I really believe that.
Yeah.
I think the Steelers' defense was beaten up and not the same defense that it was to start.
And it's one thing, like, I kind of like Baker for the most part, but it's one thing to...
He's had a great year this year. He's had a much better year this year than he'd had.
Yeah, exactly. But the whole thing is this one thing to have your defense play lights out and go and get you 5 turnovers. It makes the game so much easier for you and so much less likely for you to fuck it up.
Yeah.
I don't see, and I'm knocking on wood right now, but I don't see Mahomes giving up 4 or 5 turnovers, or the Chiefs in general giving up 4 or 5 turnovers. I may be wrong, but if you're gonna get a turnover on Mahomes, it's gonna be off a tip pass or some shit. And I promise you ain't getting no scoop and score or pick 6 like that.
I feel like every time you say these things, they come to fruition the very next week.
Nah. The only time that happened was
you were like, yo, Pat, my quarterback doesn't throw picks, and then he played the Dolphins and threw like 3 picks. So I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Fucking, it was hilarious.
I might be wrong though, but I just don't see like Baker is most likely going to be the reason they lose this game, and it's not going to be 100% his fault. He's just going to have to throw with Mahomes, and I don't think he's going to be able to.
So we like the Ravens and the Chiefs in the
and
AFC
we both
Championship.
We agree.
I'm with it. Dude. In all seriousness, I'm super excited for that Ravens-Bills game, and you know what? I'm really excited for the Chiefs-Browns game too, because I think all 4 offenses left could put up 30. Like, have the ability on their offense to put up 30. Like, we're not getting cheated. We don't have a fucking backup quarterback in the divisional round this year. We got studs.
In the AFC, we don't have... Oh, no, we don't have a backup quarterback at all.
I don't think so. I think the NFC is the same situation.
Goff is playing,
Yeah, but he might have gotten benched. We're going to talk about that when we do the NFC. But this was the AFC breakdown. I'm Russell Broderick. That's Dario Albuquerque. And we're saying peace, but enjoy the weekend. Check out the NFC content when it comes out.
Did he?
Bitches.